Hey, I'm Angel, founder of AI Flow app, where we help founders turn operational chaos into clean, scalable systems using AI. AI Flow is my podcast where I talk to early stage leaders about the real behind the scenes, what's working, what's breaking, and how they're using tech to move faster with clarity. Let's get into it.
Okay.
Well, how are you guys?
Doing well, thank you. Yeah, we're doing good. We're in the
Yeah.
in the grind. We're in grind mode.
What's going on?
Yeah. So far, I mean, just we got multiple businesses right now at the same time. So we have policy engineer. I'm sure we'll get into talking about it, but we have policy engineer that we've built for the last. We're in year 6 now, and then we're launching a sister company with it. And really, we're just trying to promote and give all the tools that we use to build policy engineer. We're going to give it to the independent insurance agents to use and leverage. Our industry is, man, it's like 20 years behind when it comes to technology. So we're doing our best to help people catch up. I'm serious. It's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
imagine how easy it is right now if you wanted to go open up a bank account online, or if you wanted to go apply for like a mortgage online. If you want to go get insurance online, it's a whole different process. So it's
Yeah.
way behind when it comes to technology. So we're doing our best to change that.
Yeah, are there any like trends that you're seeing in insurance that maybe like is speeding it up? I know you guys are pretty like tech forward, but in general, like as an industry, are you seeing tech being implemented in the same manner? Or is
Um,
that something that you're trying to disrupt the industry with?
so I think both are true. And what I mean by that is tech is being infused into the industry, but most of it is from the perspective of providing more tech, more AI to the traditional insurance broker. So, like the tools for me to use that you don't have access to, they are beginning to leverage technology some. But there's very little innovation happening on what makes your life easier, more accurate, faster implementation of if you want insurance.
Yeah.
There's not a lot innovating on that side, and that's where we really hope to disrupt the industry is to provide tools that make it for you. If Angel goes online and you need insurance, that you're able to get a accurate, competitive, simple process start to finish without having to sit down and get sold potentially by someone who doesn't have access to what's in your best interest. And not all brokers are the same, and not all insurance products are the same. So it's a loaded question, but yeah, I mean there is innovation happening.
Okay. So like what drew you to the insurance industry and like why policy engineer? Like what do you hope to do with policy engineer to like in the industry, I guess?
Well, let me ask you one for some context to that question. When you say what brought us to insurance, do you mean like how did we get involved at all in this industry as,
More like what drew you to start a company within
hmm,
the insurance space?
I think you can start to answer that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so it goes back to when Matt and I were both just in the sales and like we were in insurance, but he was a sales
Yeah.
manager. I was like a unit field trainer. We were still very much in the field doing sales, and it started off first with just always constantly frustrated because the technology was way behind and the marketing was way behind. It had not caught up to every other industry that has a parallel audience to us. So we'd noticed
Yeah.
most of the lead generation, the way we would get it, you'd send out 5,000 direct mail marketing mailers, like paper mailers in the mail. People would fill out their
Mhm.
information and send it back. A week later, you'd get the mailer, and then you would have like a missing email, missing phone number. And it was really hard to run your business at that point. So it really all started with experimenting with advertising on social media. So we created a website called policyengineer.com. We created an ad account on Facebook. And at that time, our primary market, we were marketing to people 65 and over. So we were like, let's see if people that are Medicare beneficiaries, seniors are actually on the internet and would request information. It blew up immediately. I mean, we
Yeah.
started running ads, it worked. So our schedules got really busy. We started running lead generation for our entire agency. And over time, we said, hey, we can create attention We know how to get people interested in us. Why don't we go out and seek the best technology we can possibly find and digitize this process so we're not driving 20 miles from kitchen table to kitchen table to kitchen table and then make our own company. So that's how Policy Engineer really got founded. It was just through frustration in the industry, just living in it day to day. And then we formed Policy Engineer, did the marketing on social media. We digitized the process, so we did all of our meetings. 99% of our meetings happened just like this. It was like face to face. We did them over Zoom, and then we went out and found all the technology. We got third party technology, and then slowly we started working on creating our own, and we're still in that process now. I mean, we're trying to make it where we have our own software and we completely democratize and change this entire industry. That's our goal. We want everyone to have equal access to the same tools. That doesn't exist today, and
Yeah.
we're gonna make it happen. So earlier when I said we're in the middle of the fire right now, like we're grinding for that. That's what we're grinding on. We're trying to make it happen.
You
Okay.
know, to add
Yeah.
to that answer, as a as a manager within a large insurance distribution company, I would get opportunities to sit in meetings where there were executive level people there, and they'd be talking. And after at that time, it was like 11 years in the industry. I never really heard anything talked about how we were going to make things better or easier for the customers. Everything was about how we were going to make things more powerful for the producers, the agents out there, which that's fine to make life easier for those who are out there on the street, like selling your products. But we have the belief that if we make it better and easier for the end consumer, then that should make it better and easier for the producers. Because if you have knowledge that if I go to that place and I buy from there, it's going to be more accurate, it's going to be easier, then our lead generation should be up and those who work for us should have an easier time selling. And the other thing was in our industry, you could go set up 100 different brokers and I bet you're going to get like 90 different recommendations because it's very much based on the opinion of someone. And this creates some bias by using technology to be the thing that filters down and uses like algorithms and now bringing in AI to make that final recommendation. You can reduce how much bias is there. So influence like, well, this one's easier to get approved, this one's faster for me to do the paperwork, or that company pays me better, those become eliminated, and we're truly bringing to the table what is the best fit product for this person. Yeah, professional opinion still comes into play, but now we're filtering down to where what's left is just a few options that the professional opinion is coming into play with this person's needs and desires, and we're getting rid of all of that fluff. That's something that hasn't really been strong and talked about in the industry. It's, hey, you're a professional, you figure out what's best, and unfortunately, not everybody's cut from the same cloth, and some licensed advisors out there just want the easier, faster, higher paying things, not really what's best for the person.
I feel like that's a really, really good vision. So you guys will succeed in that.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Curious about like what your roles are within the company itself. Seems like you're both co-founders. Like I'm sure you have like your own set of responsibilities, or do you kind of mix and match, wear all
Um,
hats? What does that look like?
well, we wear lots of hats. I think we both have some opportunity to be involved in like all facets of the business still, but
Hmm.
in the early stages of doing this, we were like, hey, we're co-founders, we're co-responsible, and we were like
Hmm.
trying to do everything together. And we realized that didn't work as well. One, it was we couldn't do as much because all of our time was linked together. We're always doing stuff together, trying to. So anyway, when we first started the company, we were working together as like co everything, right? And holding hands through everything, every meeting at the same time, every decision we were making, we were talking about. And all this did was create opportunities for us to have I don't know if conflict is the right word, but we like butt heads or go back and forth on anything we had an opinion
Yeah.
on until it took forever to come to a final conclusion. And we each were not operating all the time in our strengths. So we came to a conclusion and we're like, you know what? We need to divide and conquer. And we say that term all the time now, where so we divvied up the company and the responsibilities and we found what we felt were our greatest strengths. And then we gave pretty much exclusive decision making power in those different categories to each other. And obviously,
Hmm.
we own the company together. So if there's something that we really feel strongly about, we can voice it and we can talk through it and we still get each other's opinions. But
Yeah.
I'm operating essentially leading the sales and everything related to like new accounts and customer service and managing and overseeing anyone related to that. And then I have an influence on marketing in the sense that I'm filming some of our ads, I'm writing some of our copy, I'm working with the marketing team on ideas.
Hmm.
But Chris's responsibilities, you can kind of break down what you're overseeing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it simple. I mean, essentially getting anyone into the front door. It's meaning he's like 30% marketing, I'm 70% marketing. The easiest way to say it, sales, marketing, and then the operations side of the business, we kind of split in half for the most part. So yeah, it's a short answer, but yeah, technology, marketing, recruiting, any like entry into the business and seeing who we are for the first time, that's usually where it comes across my desk.
Okay, I gotcha. And have there been like operational challenges maybe that you've seen within the insurance industry that weren't like so common a couple of years ago, a few years ago maybe,
Ooh, challenges that were common that are still common now. Was that the
that
question?
weren't common, that
Oh,
are
that weren't
common
common.
now? Yeah.
Ooh, operational that weren't common that are common
Hmm.
now.
Mm,
If anything, they're getting better than they were in the past
Okay.
operationally. Now, I think just the better technology gets, it's getting easier. You know, from a consumer's lens, when you go and apply for insurance, I'm going to use life insurance as an example.
Hmm.
For years, it's been the same process. You submit an application, and then it goes to underwriters, and then they're looking over your health. They're going to look at a lot of different factors, verify who you are, verify your beneficiaries, and it's going to take, sometimes in the past, it would be 30 to 45 days until you can get approved.
Yeah.
By the time that comes around, sometimes you're like, why do I even have this thing? It's just going to be a monthly bill. And that led to not a ton of retention for insurance
Yeah.
agents, and it didn't work for consumers because now they're underinsured. They just didn't want to go through the process. So that's actually gotten better. The better technology gets, then we're seeing faster approvals and easier
Yeah.
underwriting, and less people need to actually get what's called a paramed exam. So you actually have a nurse or you have someone come to your house and draw blood and do an exam in person. That is slowly going away. It's not fully there yet. That's something we're very hopeful that's going to happen. That's from the consumer's lens. I think that's the first thing that comes to mind. But
Hmm.
there's a ton internally
Okay.
for when it comes to like operating and running an insurance agency. One would be just third party technology. I mean,
hmm.
there isn't. That's why we want to create the software ourselves, because there isn't really a one tool does all. If you own an insurance agency or you own a wealth management agency or really any service industry, you're getting 5 to 10 different softwares that you're using, and you're toggling back and forth to run the business.
Yeah.
That is also slowly getting better. So it's
Okay.
kind of the
Could you
opposite of
delve
your question.
could you delve a little bit more into like maybe what you guys are doing on your end that's making it become better? Does that make
Yeah,
sense? Like, yeah.
one thing for sure, AI.
Hmm.
I mean,
Okay.
AI is underutilized when it comes to our industry. That's for sure. Again, they're 20 years behind, but we use it on a day-to-day basis, not just for
Yeah.
ourselves, but every single department within the organization. So all the way from marketing through the acquisition process to new business processing to customer service to every single person uses it, because I'll give ChatGPT as an example. When you custom make GPTs, you can set the behaviors. You can also, I call it the brain. You can feed the brain with all the standard operating procedures, your
Yeah.
documents, everything that you would use internally, and you can tell it how to respond. So now any of our employees, if they have a question or they're unsure of how to do something, AI now can walk them through the process and make them go 10 times faster. Imagine you don't know how to fill a document out, or someone's
Mhm.
missing some information on a piece of paper. You can use AI. It can turn it into an email for you. It can help you get the whole communication out to the prospect in 2 seconds. Where in the past you're Google searching, what the heck is this paper for? Where do I need them to sign? And like, it could be a couple days until something happens. So that's I'm crazy about AI. I post information on it daily. I use it daily. I read the
Yeah.
news on it daily. Every week there's something new that comes out and it's exciting and it's only going to benefit everybody. I just
Yeah.
encourage if you're listening to this, use AI. Just it's as easy to use as a Google search bar. If you use Google, you can use ChatGPT or anything. You can use Grok, you can use any of the AI tools that are out there, but just use it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So most of the AI implementation that you use within policy engineer is like GPTs and like kind of talking to AI to make processes flow faster. Am I understanding that correctly?
For the most part, you can answer this.
Okay.
Well, I'd say currently, yes, and where we're working towards is actually taking and implementing AI into softwares that will provide. So then now, on the end consumer, if you're coming in and you're looking for life insurance, AI would be able to create the quotes for you and then begin to ask you questions based on your eligibility, your health needs, like what are you trying to cover, and it'll begin to distill down to making a recommendation of these are the top two or three that you should go with because of this, and then walk you through the full application and take it to the insurance company. Like this is where we're looking to go with it, right? It just takes time to continue to build that out. And so one of the things that solutions like we need to come up with, that you talked about a problem that used to exist before and or didn't exist before and exists today. I don't know if it didn't exist, but it feels like the problem feels like it hurts more because you're watching other areas advance and this area is not. And so it feels like a bigger problem. And this is in the area of getting quotes for insurance. Um, there are so many insurance companies and so many different products offered. And it's just, I'll give you two examples. In the realm of life insurance, it's super challenging to find one central place that you can run lots of quotes. So you have to go here and then go here and then go here and then go here. So it takes a lot more time than it really should to do the research and provide somebody with the best, most accurate quote that they might need. And there's tools that
Mhm.
we leverage that make it better, but there's nothing that really comes to the table and solves the problem. Or on the health insurance side, you get into these like never ending rabbit holes, it feels like, where you have the health insurance and the benefits they want, but then you have to find the combination of medical groups and doctors that accept these plans. And a lot of the tools that exist, they're not accurate. You'll see that one website says this doctor takes that plan. And then you go talk to the medical group and they tell you that, no, that's in fact old news. We don't any longer. And this is what it is. And you have contradicting information online. There needs to be a way for all of this to be unified and accurate and easy for the providers to update. And so this causes like misinformation because one database is out of date, one is up to date, and one's feeding one thing. And so these are things that like we want to solve and haven't completely figured out exactly how we'll solve it. But they're things that it just creates friction and adds time. And you would think like, gosh, this shouldn't be a thing anymore, right? It's 2025. We have
Yeah.
so many tools out there, but
Like what kind of challenges are you running into trying to solve this problem?
a lot of it is the cooperation of the people who have the data, right? Because not
Okay.
every insurance company is on board to like release information. Not all of them are technologically advanced enough where they have APIs that you can grab and then utilize, right? So there's still a lot of
Yeah.
manual processes. An example might be compensation reports. We have all these insurance companies and we have all these agents that are selling policies. And so there's like commissions coming in from all over the place. A lot of places, the only way to get the information is a PDF statement that comes with broken down acronyms that you have to decipher, and they're really not that detailed. So it takes a lot of manual effort. Whereas you think of like in the banking industry or something, you can get a data feed that pulls all of these different transactions and you can feed them into stuff using things like Stripe and stuff like that, right? Where you can like aggregate all these transactions, there is nothing that aggregates all the compensation and the different transactions on the insurance side. So there's a lot of manual stuff. And
Yeah.
and a lot of people, a lot of companies don't feel it's worth the time or the money to like modernize that process. So you're stuck because bad data in, bad data out, right? And if we
Yeah.
can't get the data to go in, then it will lack the data. So I think that's the biggest hurdle
Yeah.
right now is adoption from all the different places so that you can then produce a true accurate um, central location for all this.
That makes sense. So like when is this, would you say this is something like the biggest issue that say like if you could solve tomorrow, you would want to solve tomorrow?
Hmm.
Or is there a different one?
No, I mean, I think it's a part of the bigger issue. Like, our goal is
Okay.
to be able to provide access to accurate financial planning right in the palm of your hand. And this takes into account insurance and retirement planning, investments. Like, if you could bring all of that together, have it in the palm of your hand right there in an app where you link all the different sources, like where money's coming in from, what money's being spent on, how much money's being allocated to investments, and what kind of insurance you have to protect against unforeseen events. Taking all of that and then constantly evolving and monitoring based on the life changes and keeping you right in line with what you need to do. This is what we're working towards at building. So I guess that's the macro. If we could solve the problem of all the correct data coming in and
Mhm.
then being able to distill it down into AI that can communicate and allow people to put into fruition what is being recommended in real time. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we'd want to solve. But I don't know. You tell me if I'm seeing this any different. The ability to get the data to feed correctly is a big problem that
Yeah.
stalls the ability to have this big end result.
Yeah, I mean,
Makes
I think
sense.
overall, we just want to democratize access. I think the only way to really level out the entire industry of financial services, wealth management, insurance, whatever it is to give complete transparency, to let everybody
Yeah.
in on every insurance carrier, just like you'd want to see every single investment opportunity that's out there, which there's hundreds, if not thousands, if you're combining both. But AI, where this comes into play, can narrow it down for you. I mean, imagine a place where you're looking for a car and you don't have to go straight to the car dealership and you don't have to sit there and negotiate the price of the car. If you could see kind of like Carvana or some of these places online, but if you could just put
Hmm.
in your information and you could transparent pricing, the price you saw was actually the price with no negotiation, and you could pick the car and it showed up at your front door. If that should be the same thing on the insurance or financial services side, you should be able to put in your information. AI should be able to help you figure out what you need if you don't know what you need, and then give everybody equal access. And you
Yeah.
should be able to apply and get approved within minutes. I think that's a huge problem is this the timeline. It's access to the
Yeah.
information and the timeline it takes once you have access to it.
That makes sense. Okay. So that's like on the macro side. So how about the micro? Like internally, if there's like say like one back end workflow that you'd want to wave a magic wand and fix by tomorrow, like what would that be?
I would go back to Matt's answer for sure. Getting access, like having the APIs, having
Yeah.
live data from the insurance companies to be able to feed into one centralized place. That's the biggest issue. Once we solve that, I think that's a micro issue that solves so many problems across the board.
And it exists, but only about 50% of what we need is in existence. The other half is not. So you can
What do
make
you mean
it
by that?
like half of the companies that we work with are on board and have the ability to push the data you need. The other half don't. So if you go create
Hmm.
a system and I said, here, Angel, go in here and log in and you can get life insurance, it'll be accurate up to whoever's willing to participate. But there's other people who aren't participating. So you're only getting information based on who was put in the system. We believe everybody should be in the system, right? If all these companies
Yeah.
are offering insurance to the public, but we can't get them all into the system, then the system is only as good as what is participating. and there
Yeah.
might be other options outside. So now then that makes this technology again be biased because it's biased towards only what data is plugged into it. So that's the thing we'd want to solve is to be able to get everybody on board, and some of them they don't want to spend the money or the time. So it's like can we get to a place where we could spend the money and the time? And we're like, we'll actually create it for you. We'll do it for you so that we can then pull the data and then provide what is needed to the end consumer.
Angel, have you looked for insurance online before? Like any type, homeowners, auto, whatever, renter, like
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. Definitely have. I did for autos and rental insurance.
How was
So
what was the process like for you? Did you end up talking to somebody? Or did you get it online?
I don't. It's been a while. I live in New York now, so I don't have auto insurance anymore. But
Mhm.
I think I think I did it online because I didn't want to talk to anyone. Honestly, I
See,
feel
you're
like
like
Gen
the
Z just doesn't
majority.
want to talk to anyone. I'm like, I just
No,
want to get it
you're
done. Like,
see that
don't make me
that
talk
place
to
doesn't
someone.
exist. There's so many people that are just like
Yeah,
you, my wife
yeah.
included, and it's that doesn't exist really on our side of the business. Like for if you
Hmm.
go anywhere and you want to get homeowners insurance, like there's the State
Yeah.
Farms and Progressives and all the big companies out there, and they have their own portals and stuff. You can go shop for insurance online. In our sector, in life and health and wealth management, stuff
Hmm.
like that, doesn't really exist. There's a handful of companies, and the handful of companies that do have the ability to do this,
Yeah.
some changes that I've noticed that they've made. I'm not going to name companies specifically, but
Yeah.
they kind of hold the information hostage until you release your information and give your data to them. So it used to be
Mm.
probably 5, 6 years ago when you saw all the biggest agencies out there finally doing a direct to consumer model and trying to do exactly what we're doing. They used to have all the pricing out there up front. You can compare from different insurance companies, and it took 5 minutes. Over time, I think they started to notice they didn't have a lot of retention either. They weren't able to have people stick all the way through the process and retain them as a customer. Now
Mhm.
you have to make a profile, exchange your information, your email, your phone number, your personal information before they even give you pricing. And for me, I personally don't like that because we really are on a mission to democratize it. You should be able
Yeah.
to see very early on what your options are. And if your
Hmm.
marketing's good and if you're very transparent, you'll earn people's business. But it doesn't
Yeah.
exist in our market. It did for a period of time and it went away again, which was something really interesting that doesn't normally happen.
That is interesting. Yeah.
But you can look it up,
Yeah.
the top 5, 6 companies if you Google right now online life insurance. Today is we're in June right now, 2025. If you do this right now, then you're not going to find pricing online readily available. It's very hard.
You will on policyengineer.com. You can get pricing for the companies that are participating.
We have it public still. We still release all of our pricing on the website, but a lot of the
Okay.
top competitors they've taken it away, and it's a numbers game for a lot of big insurance agencies out
Yeah.
there.
Okay. So, how are you like endeavoring to get the rest of the 50% who aren't participating to participate? Like,
Annoy the hell out of them. Just hound them.
really?
Yeah, seriously though, you have to almost tell them like, you guys are ridiculous. You're behind. You're losing business because one
Yeah.
day it's going to happen where the companies that are releasing their information publicly to the general public, they're going to take
Yeah.
off and they're going to get all the business because all the small players, people like us, and even just your shop that's like a one-man agency right now, they're going to all have
Mhm.
access to really great tools. They're going to build their own little websites and they're going to sell insurance online. That will be the norm in
Yeah.
5 years, I guarantee. So all the companies that aren't willing to participate are either going to fall off or they're going to get bought out or they have to finally be like, okay, we'll build a process to make this possible. We have to annoy them. We just have to annoy them constantly. We're
Has
on
it
calls
been,
weekly.
has it worked? Like, does it work
It's
well?
slowly working. So right
Okay.
now, the ones that don't release their information, they will only
Yeah.
if you're a really, really big player. You have to be one of the top in the nation.
Okay.
So we're on
Got it.
calls weekly with insurance
Hmm.
companies, and we're constantly just asking, give us,
Yeah.
like we have a store that could house and sell online for you guys. Give us access to put you into the online store, and
Yeah.
we're close. I think we're in negotiations with a few to add them to the website. but we're not there yet. We just have to keep annoying them.
feel like you guys are doing a really good thing here. Like honestly, as someone who has gotten insurance before, like if I don't see numbers right away, I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this. I'm out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to see numbers, and I think the most
Yeah.
important part that a lot of companies are missing right now, they're
Yeah.
not walking you through what you need. Like in the experience, if you're getting car insurance, let's just say,
Yeah.
and they don't actually do a needs analysis online. They're not asking you
Mhm.
questions to figure out what actually makes sense for you. Most people, by nature, you're just going to go for like, it seems within my budget. I hope the policy's good. And then you're going to pull the trigger on it. That's most people.
Yeah.
And then when you go to file a claim, you're like, what do you mean it doesn't cover this? What the hell? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's most people's process. So I think
Yeah.
there really needs to be a needs analysis, intuitive. AI is the perfect thing that can ask questions. You could just have a normal,
Yeah.
natural conversation in a chat. Pulls up. Here's exactly what you're looking for. Click to
Mm.
apply, and it's done in 2 minutes. That process will happen, and we're on a race right now to be the first to do it.
You guys got this.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So looking to like the next 6 to 12 months, what what kind of internal improvements are you hoping to have in place?
Ooh, that's a great question. You could take this if you want. I have an answer, but you could take it.
Well, I think we can both answer, but I think in my eyes over the next, you said 6 to 12 months.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're working on a improving like the commission accounting system. So that's something that's already a project that's like in motion to make sure that all the compensation that we get for stuff that we're able to track it more closely, tie it directly to the policies, and know that we're actually getting all the revenue on time that we should be for the policies that we're selling. And
Hmm.
then in addition to that is having right now a lot of the softwares we're using third party existing softwares, and we're piecing them all together to accomplish some of the things we're doing.
Hmm.
And so building our own direct to consumer tool that is ours, built from the ground, that we're then feeding this data into.
Hmm.
And once we get that base initial version, we're going to be able to start to layer more products. So if it starts with life insurance and you can get a really great life insurance quote, well, then we want that to dovetail into life insurance and disability and retirement income planning and health insurance. And so that all of the different brokers that you essentially would use to set up all the different insurances you might need can be done through one tool. But it'll happen one product set at a time until
Yeah.
eventually it's accumulated to where it's successfully working together. So, but I guess over the next 12 months is really to have um, that base model be created and in existence, and this will begin to move us more from traditional acquisition to the more direct to consumer and working with folks like right in the palm of their hand. What do
Okay.
you think in the next 6 to 12 months?
I would say, if I could fast forward time right now, in 12 months, we'll have our own software. And our main goal always, I want to eliminate third party softwares. I don't want to
Yeah.
have many different ecosystems I have to operate in. So I think we would have our own software, and we would have consolidated many different SOPs within the business into one thing, internally and externally for the client.
Okay.
That's the North Star.
Okay. And you guys are in the process of doing that right now.
Yeah, we're in the process right now. Again, that's that annoying thing. We're like, we just have to annoy people as much as possible, or we find, we're constantly on calls with software companies, fortunately and unfortunately, because sometimes it's just a
Yeah.
process of training to always be on calls with software companies. But if I can find a software company that consolidates two into one, great, we'll do that. And eventually, until one day we own it and we've made our own software. In 12 months, that will happen. I guarantee you we will have made our own software.
I think one thing too that we haven't touched on, but so right
Yeah.
now the real struggle is we see this innovation and way we want to disrupt in our industry, but
Yeah.
in order to create to do that, right, we still have to like keep the lights on and pay the bills. So we're continuously every day operating the way that we want to kill because we're using that to create the fuel to advance into the next like stage. And so one thing that we've talked about is getting a first version of our tool created, bootstrapping, using the relationships that we have and some
Yeah.
of our own like hard work and burning the midnight oil, so that we can have a product that we can actually go out into the marketplace and seek a true capital raise. And capital is something that allows you to move with speed and make decisions. And if we had the capital, it'll allow us, I think, to overcome some of the barriers that we have in front of us. So that's something that over the next 12 months we intend on being at the table with the decision makers that have the ability to come in and partner with us, so that
Mhm.
we can go and take this to the next level.
Absolutely.
I see. So you guys are like in the process of creating the software by kind of talking to a lot of different like software companies and like seeing if you can like combine two in one and eventually have like all of them just like go into one
Yeah.
tool,
I mean, just to
right?
give you some context, right?
Yeah.
We started in 2000. I got in the industry in 2009.
Hmm.
When I got in, I was focused on just learning my career, right? Just like saying, okay, how do you do this? How do we help people? How do you sell these products? And it was really more about me figuring out how to make a living in this industry that I was recruited into.
Yeah.
And that evolved over time to where you start to see truly where inefficiencies are, lack is, right? And then you want more out of it, and you find out that after 11 years of searching and bouncing between a few different companies, that like nobody has what you're looking for. So now you have to say, okay, I either have to suck it up and do this in an inefficient way, or we're going to have to be that change. And so
Yeah.
we've we're deeply entrenched. We have
Mm.
tons of clients over all these years that we've acquired helping kind of the original old way. So now we're in this place where, like, okay, we want change. We have to make that change, but we aren't going to give up on and just abandon all these customers that we already have. And I'm saying this because it's like, we're turning a ship that's already in the water around to like begin to go a different direction. Whereas I think there are a lot of other companies out there like your Airbnb and your Ubers and stuff. Uber was not created by a taxi driver who then said, "Okay, I have 100 taxis. Let me figure out how I'm going to like wind these down and start this other company." It was created by somebody who was feeling the problem of like, why shouldn't I just be able to hit a thing on my phone? Then they go and create it.
Yeah.
A hotel company didn't go out and create Airbnb and say, "Oh, wow, for us to get more doors, let's find a way to let people turn their houses into hotels." It was it was a person. So we're actually on the side of doing business this way and saying we're going to be the innovators and change the way it's done while continuing to do business in this way. So every day we have one foot on one side of the fence and one foot on the other side of the fence, keeping things going over here while we're trying to start and light this fire over here. So there's, I mean, that in itself is a challenge because we're constantly split in having to spend our time across two different things. So I guess if you're another founder out there, you're listening to this, what I'm trying to say is like it's it's probably worth it. We believe it's worth this fight and to continue to satisfy the way that we had it and work towards going the new route. And you're not alone if you're wondering like, gosh, how do I like get out of this thing? We're working on that every day, and it takes sacrifice, but we believe that we're going to make it happen, and we'll create this disruption, and hopefully we end up looking like an overnight success where in the background we were just slaving away for a while, just sacrificing, making things happen, and all of a sudden people go, oh man, this company is just, look at how big they are. But in reality it didn't happen overnight.
Feel like people, that's how people see it every time. They're like, oh, this person or this company blew up overnight, but it's no. The founders have worked for a while on this for it you know,
Hmm.
to come out. And like we see the hard work as founders. but maybe like people outside of this don't see it. But
100%. 100%.
yeah,
It's a grind. And the grind
it
never
really is.
stops.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely get it. And actually, like the way that I've approached AI Flow App, like my company, is the same way. Like I saw like issues. So I guess like a little background about myself. I was in corporate for the past 6 years, worked in operations, worked in finance, saw a lot of inefficiencies, and like one of the most satisfying things to me is to make things more efficient. So when you guys talk about that, I'm like, oh, like this clicks with me too. But
Hmm.
that's why I started AI Flow Up in general. So this like AI Flow Up is to kind of help founders make financial workflows, make operational workflows more efficient. And like you talked about having all these different systems like that don't communicate with each other, and then you have to like kind of integrate them into one. It's like it's a very like tedious process, and like I've experienced it working in my jobs, and I was like, well, why can't we just make this more efficient? And sometimes I did. Sometimes it just like wasn't like there were constraints working within like a corporate job too. So like I completely get that, and that's why I started AI Flow App, and like I wanted to be able to help other founders make things more efficient too.
I think AI is it's like the hot word in the industry right now, but it's there for a
Yeah.
reason, and it's going to take over. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, everyone will use it. It'll be normal, and any way we can infuse it better into our
Yeah.
process, always in.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
kudos to
yeah.
you for starting the company.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, oh, this is kind of not not very efficient. Like I've worked for a few Fortune 100 companies, and some of them were more efficient than others, but they're all just like relatively inefficient.
Oh yeah,
So
100%.
yeah,
Yeah, I couldn't agree
yeah.
more. Yeah, I'm stoked for you. I think that's awesome that you made the jump and
Thank
you're
you.
doing what you're doing. You're doing a really great thing.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll uh I'll give you something to think about. You're going to live through this, but there's a concept called situational leadership,
Yeah.
and there's four stages you go through whenever you're going through something new. And
Hmm.
you'll go through it continuously even as you add new things or new challenges to your business. But the first one is that you come in and you are oh gosh, it's you are high
So,
confidence, low competence. So you come in and you're unknowingly incompetent in what you're trying to do, but you're
Yeah.
excited. So you're confident in the fact that like I'm going after this thing, I'm gonna make it happen, but you don't really know what challenges you're gonna face, and you don't know what you don't know
Mm.
yet. That's phase one. Phase two is now where you are actually you know how much you don't know, you know how challenging this is going to be, and you have low competence and low confidence. You know that you don't know it all, and you know that this is going to be harder than you thought it was going to be, and that is where most people give up.
Mm.
And the only real way out of it is to find an example, to like look out there and see like, okay, how has someone else gotten out of this? And even if it's not the same exact problem, you can make a relation. And so you're trying to see how to get out of it. But as you begin to work through the problems and you hold on, which is where most founders will quit, you go into
Mm.
increasing competence, increasing confidence. And then the fourth stage is high competence, high confidence. That's when you're like, get the heck out of my way. I know my lane. I know I have my stride, and you can go. But it happens over and over again because you're gonna get to where you feel like, man, I'm in zone four. And then you hire someone and then you're like, hey, I'm highly confident, but I don't know how to manage a person yet because I haven't done it yet. And then you realize
Yeah.
it's harder than it was going to be. And you're like, oh my gosh, why did I hire anybody? And then you got to make your way out of it. And then you go. And
Yeah.
then you add a new system and it starts over with that system. And so, we're living now 6 years into having a business, a few years into having decided to scale and actually do anything more than the way we originally did it. And there's like maybe one third of the business, we're like level four. There's one third of the business, we're like in that third level where we're like gaining the confidence. There's a percentage of the business where we're like, man, we should turn this off. Like, are we doing the right thing? Like, this is hard. And then there's
Yeah.
those ideas where you're like, okay, we're going to do this next, and you're high confidence again. So I'm sharing partially with you and anyone that's listening to this that it's like all these different gears, and every time you add a new layer of growth, it's like adding another gear that then needs like tweaking and calibration before it's
Yeah.
like all running on all cylinders. And so it's just always a work in progress. So encouraging you, anyone listening, and I guess even just like speaking to ourselves, like we always need that reminder.
Yeah. Would you do you see like when you implement these new systems, new gears, new people, do you
Mhm.
find that you're doing a lot of the tweaking, or is it more the people that you've hired? Like, have you delegated it out?
Yeah, I mean, yes, we've delegated it out, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but at the same time, no. I'll tell you a big mistake. We had a period of time in 23 where we scaled and then we contracted. So we grew up to 28 employees and then scaled ourselves all the way back down to 11. And some of it was due to things that were in our control, some of them were out of our control. The combination of the two forced us to make that step back. And so during that time, we brought on a bunch of people and we delegated. We brought on too many people at once and we didn't monitor what we had delegated closely enough to make sure what was delegated was being done the way it should have been. Right. And so a lesson from that is like, yes, you can delegate, but I think once you delegate, you've got to really have a close eye on how it's being done by the person it's been delegated to and make refinements and changes very quickly before you take and delegate something else. Because if you delegate too many things at one time, it becomes challenging to monitor all of them and to refine in those areas, and then things can kind of not be working, but it's behind the scenes. Like you don't see it until the actual effects are taking place, and it's a lot harder to fix once effects have been realized and your company's actually feeling the fact that it wasn't being done right. And so um, you want to be able to move fast and act quickly, but at the same time, you just need to pay attention to what you moved on and see how whatever you made a move on is working. Just because you made the move doesn't mean it's gonna work. Just because you made a plan doesn't mean nothing's gonna get in the way of that plan. But
There's
I,
a there's an art to delegation. I think that was a
Yeah.
huge lesson that we got for sure. I mean, most founders get that wrong or they learn it the hard way. We learned it the hard way, but like imagine you have like a note and you tell someone, I need you to take this note, it's 10 miles away, go drive and drop it off to this person with no navigation and go figure your way out. Versus the right way to delegate, take this note to this person and give them the actual navigation to be able to do it. Like the first example, the person's driving all over the place. They're making wrong turns. They're going backwards. They're going the wrong direction. They might eventually find their way there, or they might just get lost. That's how most people, when they first try to delegate, do it. They're like, here's how I do it. Do it.
Yeah.
Versus actually giving them the roadmap to get exactly where they need to go the first time.
Mhm.
And that's something we definitely learned the hard way. But I'm excited for the next round. Now that we got all those lessons, I'm really excited for us to scale and get to the next step because it's like you have to delegate with some actual roadmap behind it,
Yeah.
and they'll get it right the first time.
So it sounds like you guys have learned a lot, and like you're on to your
Oh
next
God, yeah,
scaling. Yeah.
for
Okay.
sure. Yeah, we learned a lot. We wear the scars on a day-to-day basis, and we're ready to keep going. We're ready to go back into war again.
Sounds like it. Okay, I know we spent quite a long time. I really appreciate all your time for today's podcast. Appreciate having you guys on AI Flow. Your insights were super, super, super helpful. Feel like other founders will definitely find this an interesting podcast to listen to. It was great meeting you
all right,
guys.
well,
Thank you
take
for
care.
being on
Thanks
AI
for
Flow.
yeah, reaching out.